Today's video is going to cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of buying a new construction home in the greater Tampa Bay area, so stay tuned. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel Living in Tampa, where it's my goal to show you everything you need to know about eating, sleeping, living, and playing in the greater Tampa Bay area. If it's your first time to my channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. As promised, today's video is going to be all about buying a new construction home in the Tampa Bay area, whether that's good or bad for you, the pros and cons of doing that. So first of all, did you know that over 150 people a day are moving to Tampa? That's crazy. But to keep up with that demand, a lot of the builders have started building new communities everywhere throughout the Tampa Bay area. Is this a good option for you? Well, I'm hoping that this video will help you decide just that. I'm going to go over the top pros and cons of buying a new construction home. Let's start with the pros. Pro number one, the carrying cost. So with a new construction home, your carrying cost is going to be a lot lower. Why is that, you ask? Well, you are going to be getting a home that's built to the latest codes and standards that are out there. So you're going to have brand new windows, you're going to have brand new insulation. Everything is the highest quality that's available that is required by code, and all of that leads to a lower monthly electric bill. The other thing that is important in Tampa is insurance. So because the latest codes are also building to the latest hurricane standards, your insurance costs are also going to be very low as compared to an older home. So when the builders are building, there's in the roofs, there's certain things that they have to do with the trusses and clips and all of that. And if your home has that, because of the year that it was built, that qualifies you for a lower insurance rate. And the insurance is not cheap here in Florida for homeowners insurance because of all the hurricanes that we have in the state of Florida. Not in Tampa, but in the state of Florida. We don't get many hurricanes here in Tampa. We're lucky that way. But that alone is going to save you a lot of money. The other way that you're going to have a lower monthly carrying cost is you're not going to have any repairs for at least, the first probably 5 or 10 years that you're in the home, because everything's brand new. So you've got a new roof, you've got a new air conditioner, you've got a new water heater. You don't have to worry about anything breaking. And if it does, for some odd reason, you are covered in most cases. Most builders offer you a home warranty. The most common home warranty that home builders are going to give you is what they call a 2-10 warranty. What that means, and what most builders give you, is the first year pretty much it's like a bumper to bumper. If you think of that like a car, like when you buy a brand new car and you get a warranty, pretty much it's bumper to bumper. Anything that happens is covered. Well, the first year that you're in a new construction home, most builders will do that same thing for you. If you get some little cracks in the tile, or you get some, painters, how they have the drywall tape, and sometimes that doesn't adhere too well, they'll come back and fix all those little things, even if they're cosmetic, during that first year. Most builders. Now, it does vary from builder to builder, of course. But then for the second year, you've got all of your appliances are covered through the manufacturer's warranty, and then you do get a 10-year structural warranty from the builder. So that's a long time to have peace of mind, and a long time that you're going to have a lower carrying cost when you buy a new construction home. Pro number two is going to be options. So when you buy a new home, you get to choose a lot of things. Even if you're buying a spec home, a lot of times you still get to choose, whether you want dark cabinets or white cabinets. But if you're building a home from scratch, you get to choose literally everything. Down to the doorknobs. So it's going to be exactly the way you want it. And it's going to be perfect for your life and your family's life and your lifestyle. It's nice to have all those options. The other option, of course, that you're going to have is the floor plan that you pick and the location as well. When you're looking at new construction, you've got a lot of different communities to choose from, a lot of different floor plans to choose, and then a lot of different finishes to choose as well. What color granite you want, if you want a backsplash, all these little things you're going to have to decide. Sometimes people do get decision fatigue from having to think about all that, but it's nice to have everything exactly the way you want it, and having options is never a bad thing. Another pro would be the lower upfront cost. So in the Tampa area, most builders are going to pay your closing costs for you if you use their preferred lender. So if you buy an existing home, you're going to have to pay your down payment and you're going to have to pay your closing costs. If you buy a new construction home, the builders are going to pay most of those closing costs for you. So you really would only have your down payment and maybe a small amount of closing costs that you'll be paying out of pocket yourself. The other thing that you won't have to worry about is making any repairs, having any money to make any repairs when you move in, because as I said earlier, everything's going to be brand new. Whereas if you're buying an existing home, you might need to do some painting, you might need to replace some carpet, you might have an older air conditioner that you need to swap out, things of that nature. So there's definitely less upfront cost when you're buying a new construction home. Another thing to consider is that here in the state of Florida, a lot of the builders do include an appliance package. Many of them even include a washer and dryer, and you are going to get a landscape package included as well. Now it will be pretty basic. It's just going to be, sod in the front and backyard, a few plants, a few small trees, but it's not like a lot of states where buying a new construction home, you have to set aside money because you've still got to, get grass in the yard and buy all that landscaping that costs a lot of money. In the state of Florida, that is typically included when you're buying a new home. So that does also lead to a lower upfront cost when you're buying a new construction home. Another pro, and the final pro that I'm going to cover today, would be amenities. So when you're buying a new construction home in the greater Tampa Bay area, what most of these builders are doing is a master planned community. What that is a huge development. It's usually several thousand homes broken up into smaller subdivisions within the community. Each little subdivision has its own kind of price range and character to it for the most part. And then in the middle of this community is typically a large amenity center. So in that amenity center, you're going to have a clubhouse. A lot of them have a fitness center. There's usually like a party room with a kitchenette that you can rent out when you're having a birthday party or any other kind of party. There's usually a very nice pool, resort style pool. Some of them are very extravagant with water slides and pretty much, like going to Disney World on some of these communities. And then there's always going to be playgrounds, parks, trails. There's usually dog parks, and some of the communities even have just crazy things like a BMX track is one thing that I can think of in one community. There's some communities here that you may have heard about on the news. They have a huge man-made lagoon where you can do kayaking, you can do paddle boarding. So the amenities are typically out of this world when you're buying a new construction home, and a lot of times you're not going to get that in an older home. So that is one major pro to buying a new construction home in Tampa. So that was all the pros of buying a new construction home. Let's now talk about the cons. So there are some cons in buying a new construction home, and I'm going to start with con number one: everything is new. And you're like, what? How can that be a con? Well, what these builders do when they come and build these new communities is they flatten everything. So there's literally no trees, nothing there. It's just dirt, well, really sand in Florida. And then they start from scratch. So they've got a nice clean slate. It's the easiest and cheapest way for them to build these communities. So when you're buying a new construction home, you're typically only going to have some very small trees that are part of your landscape package. There's not going to be any nice, big, beautiful, mature oak trees, any trees that are going to give you any kind of shade. And in Florida, shade is something that we definitely covet because it's so hot here. The communities too, when you drive into them, because there is no landscaping, really no big landscaping, I think that they all kind of look the same. And so you kind of get that cookie cutter feel to the community where all the houses look similar. And if you're looking for something that is architecturally unique, or you want something that's got some character, then new construction might not be the route for you to go. The other thing is that you're going to get a much smaller lot in most cases than what you would get with an existing home. So it seems like the builders are making the lots smaller and smaller. A lot of the new communities now only have 40 feet across in the front. That is putting you pretty close to your neighbor, and some people think that's a little too close for comfort. So I think that is one con of buying a new construction home. Con number 2 would be the construction itself. So when you're buying in the community, typically you're not going to end up in the community when it's almost finished. A lot of people move in the beginning. They're excited about the new development, and so you're going to be surrounded by construction. And you know what comes with construction? A lot of noise. So you're going to have those trucks in the morning when they put it in reverse and they just beep, 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 and that wakes you up first thing in the morning. You've got the constant hammering of the little nail guns going in the roofs. And just a lot of noise. You've got a lot of loud music from the construction workers. And the other thing is there's typically a lot of garbage, so they don't always put everything neatly into the dumpsters. There's going to be garbage laying around. There's going to be a lot of dust. And also there's a lot of nails. So you're probably going to get some nails in your tires, and you're going to need to replace some tires on your vehicle. It happens to me all the time. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go and get a tire swapped out because I got a nail in it showing new construction properties. But hey, a lot of times it's worth it in the end because the communities are beautiful when they're finished. But while the community is being built, that is something definitely that can be a headache, which is why I call that con number 2. Con number 3 is going to be your timeline. So a lot of times when you're looking for a home, you're ready to move into that home soon. And that doesn't always work out that way with new construction. Now, especially if you're building a home from scratch, in Florida, it's typically going to take anywhere from 6 to 8 months, sometimes longer, depending on how extravagant of a home you're building. And if you happen to be building during the summer when we get a lot of rain, that can get pushed back even further. You don't have any control over that, and unfortunately, sometimes even the builder doesn't have control over that, because the other thing that's involved is the permitting process, which of course is through the county, and then the county inspections that have to be done. Sometimes they get backed up with those, and it just adds on to your timeline, and you can't really completely count on the date that the builder is giving you for completion. So you do have to have a plan B when you're buying a new home, because it might not be exactly ready when you think it's going to be. And especially if you were looking to move in the next month or two, unless they have some quick move-in inventory homes, then new construction might not be the best route for you to go. So keep that in mind, that your timeline can be a con when buying new construction. And then last but not least, another con of buying new construction is going to be the location. So let's face it, most of this new construction is happening further and further out from Tampa itself. Tampa is a very mature city. A lot of the land has already been used, and there's not as much new construction in Tampa proper as you're going to find to the south. Over like Ruskin, Gibsonton, Riverview, Brandon, this area over here. Also up to the north off of State Road 54, we've got lots of construction happening in Wesley Chapel and in Land O'Lakes, and even further north going up into Hudson and all of those towns that are up north of Tampa. In Tampa itself, you can find some new construction, but there's definitely not as much available. So sometimes you will have to move to an area that's a little bit further than you might have been thinking of moving to begin with. So the location of the new construction can also be a con. The other thing would be the HOAs. This will be the last one that I will leave you with. So if you are looking for a home that is not in an HOA, the new construction might not be the right answer for you. Most of the new construction homes are going to be in an HOA, and as I mentioned in the pros, you do get a lot of nice amenities in these communities, and that's kind of where the trade-off comes in. So if you've got children and you're going to be taking advantage of the amenities like the pool and the playgrounds and the volleyball courts and basketball courts, then that's great. But if you are, maybe an empty nester, you're not going to use any of those facilities, or you just don't don't like to use those type of facilities, then you might not want to buy a new construction home because you are going to be paying an HOA fee. So you might as well be using those amenities. So that is one of the cons of buying a new construction home, is you are going to have an HOA fee. The homeowners association fees vary greatly depending on the community, and they can be broken up into several different ways. Sometimes it's just a straight HOA fee. Sometimes you're going to have what's called a CDD fee. If you're not sure what that is, be sure to watch my other video that explains that. Either way, it does make the cost of the home a little bit more, so it's definitely something that you have to weigh out and see if it's worth it for you. Well, there you have it, the pros and cons of buying a new construction home in the Tampa Bay area. Hey, if you're even thinking about moving to Tampa, you've got to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, however you want to communicate with me is fine. When it comes to moving to Tampa, I've got your back. Hey, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.